Hi, my name is Mark Stiles, and today I'm going to be walking you through my final project for information visualization, IST 719. The data set that I used, or series of data sets, was from Zillow Research Data, and they were US real estate data set of data sets. And so on their website, they have a series of different data sets, and the data set that I used was constructed from several data sets that they provide. I combined the data sets to provide several different measurements of home sales from across the country, covering sale price, inventory, days on market before closing, cost of rent, the list price cut, home value, which is Zillow proprietary value, a list price, the number of listings, the sale price percent above listing price, and then I used federal geocodes to tie them all together by their location. The measurements then span from August 2018 through October 2023. And so what you're looking at below this is the standard structure for their data set, which has location information and then a series of columns representing the months between 2018 and 2023. And so the completed data set looks like this. A lot of the information that you would expect, all of those data sets end up in individual columns, and then a number of computed columns, such as the year, the month, display date, sort date, the highlight colors, the interest rate, and the mortgage. So let's take a look at the poster. And so my poster title is The Value of a Home. And so in 2023 through 2022 through 2023, the federal interest rates were raised to slow inflation in an unprecedented series of increases. The U.S. real estate market, previously steady and rising, suddenly was in turmoil. And over the course of 16 months, the rates increased by 2,200%, from 0.25% to 5.5%. Increasing the interest rate affects loans across the country by making the monthly payments more costly. Home buyers would have to choose between paying the same price for a smaller home or paying increasingly more for the home that they originally wanted to buy. Home sellers, on the other hand, face the potential dropping sale prices to compensate for a smaller pool of buyers able to afford that new mortgage cost. So many instead pulled out of the market to wait it out, further churning that market dynamic. And anyone who's, a lot of people who are selling end up as home buyers themselves. And so it really, they don't necessarily win either. So this first graphic here is of the map of the United States, and it's showing the mortgage costs and the locations where the mortgage costs were raised the most. So purple is the highest, and you can see that all along the West Coast. California really got hit the hardest. So Colorado next, Florida, Miami, and Hawaii, and even some in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And so the average mortgage was increased, the cost of the average mortgage, by 116%. So that's more than double. And so if you look over here on the distribution plot, and these are by the number of cities, and so a lot of people were either moved from 0 to 500 increase or 500 to 1,000. And if you think of the average mortgage cost is around $500-600, you can see why this is so important, because that's really it was originally $500, and now it's 500 to 1,000 more. So that was the bulk of what constituted a doubling in the increase in the mortgage. And then above that, you still have a good number of people, even 9 different cities still went from 1,000 to 1,500, and then maybe 10 or less reached even higher. And so the 25 hardest hit cities here, San Jose, California, all the way up to about $3,300 more than the mortgage used to cost. Edwards, Colorado, Hawaii, California, Colorado, Hawaii, California, Key West, Florida, all the way down here to Montana, Nevada, and Connecticut. And Massachusetts just didn't make the cut, but it was pretty close. And so now here, when you look at the interest rate, the effect of the interest rate over time. And so the purple here represents an increase in the interest rate, and the blue is a decrease in the interest rate. And so it doesn't, up until recently, it really didn't happen all that often. And so you can see the effect. And so this is really charting the cost of a mortgage. And so originally here around $550, $600 a month, and then a subtle increase, and you see it go up, another increase, and over time you're going to see it go up just because of inflation. 3 decreases, you see it go down, slowly rise because of inflation. And then at the point of the COVID lockdown, they decreased the interest rate to help homeowners with the ongoing costs of the lockdown. and then a slow, steady increase over time just with inflation, and then a series of really hard-hitting increases in the interest rate that took the market rate for a mortgage, from an average mortgage, from around $600 to about $1,400, that's the doubling. And so that's all that extra cost is really just because of that interest rate increase. And so here this plot here shows the sale price. And so starting around $210,000 was the average sale price. Slowly and moderately, kind of the trend here was pretty modest. But after the COVID lockdown, you start to see a real sharp increase into that price. And then around here, we see the rate increases start. It hits a peak and it goes down, which you would expect. But then it starts to bounce back up, which I didn't expect at all. And so that to me was quite shocking. I was not expecting that. So that was very interesting. And here is the high cost of COVID. So COVID, if you can see this here, this is the percent of sales that were paying above list price. So around 2018, this was maybe 15 to 20% was the average person, the number of percentage of people that were paying above list price. And then you start to see this. It starts to shift, it starts to grow. And around when the COVID lockdown happens, this is almost 70%. And after that, it starts to hit almost 80, 85%. And then the rate increases start. And then you start to see it drift back. And so there really is a lot of market effect there. And COVID, just because I think the nature of people sitting at home, myself included, with no childcare, really feeling the pressure of the size of the home that you own, wanting to find something a little bit larger, and putting stress on the market. And so this last graphic I have here is about the amount people were paying above and below list price. And so if you were to think of 0 as the list price people were asking, most people from the maximum of this box plot are just below or maybe just above the list price. So there actually is a lot of people who really get a price cut on the listing price. But what's different is that here, just shortly after the COVID lockdown, you start to see a big increase in the number of people paying over. And even here, people who are getting a cut all of a sudden weren't. And so there's a big shift going this way where the prices were really starting to move high. And that's when this mortgage, the increase of the interest rates happens. And it didn't really seem to have much of an effect on people paying over. Maybe it slowly started to stop, but it did have a big impact, which I didn't expect, on the people getting a price cut. One other interesting fact about this plot is that basically I drew a line here at 0 and said anybody who's paying above interest, above the asking price, what was the average listing price? And so what I saw was that the average listing price for those paying above list was $229,000, reasonably modest homes. So there were people willing to pay more, but it wasn't for excessively large homes or anything. It was really just like an average home. And so the people who are paying less, especially if you kind of consider around here, people who are getting $800,000 cut on the price of a home, maybe that home really was pretty expensive to begin with. So the average price for anybody who was getting more than $150,000 cut on the home that they were buying, the average list price was $861,000. So they were pretty expensive to begin with. And so people who were buying pretty expensive homes were suddenly not able to get a cut on that price here in this gap. And they were starting to almost pay that very expensive list price. So that to me was really interesting. I didn't expect that. I also didn't expect it to come back after the interest rate increase. So these were definitely eye-opening for me. And the intended audience for this poster is anybody who really wants to eventually buy or sell a home, or who is buying or selling a home, or who did recently. There may also be people who understand federal policy and are interested on the effects on consumer real estate markets, or maybe you're just a real estate agent and you're interested in seeing some of the trends or other information that goes on. So that's all I have for my poster. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something about the U.S. Real estate market.